What's up, car fans? Today I'm at the Grand Canyon, have this awesome view behind me. I also have the keys to this beautiful 2007 Porsche Cayman 5-speed manual. I'm going to be doing a review on the car, telling you guys what I like, what I don't like. But first, before we talk about the car, let's check out that awesome view. Take it in. Alright guys, so let's talk about the exterior of the 2007 base Cayman. So this one's finished in a silver color. At the front here, you get those classic Porsche Sport lines that really have that beautiful look. You also have these awesome fog lights and that fin that kind of slices straight through them. I think that's a unique design feature. Then moving down to the side of the car, you see that coupe style with the rear flared arches right there. Another piece that I really like is the air intake for that naturally aspirated flat six. It's kind of like these shark lines, adds a little bit of aggression to the design. And then moving to the rear, you have this active rear spoiler, which I like, especially when it's up like this. I think it looks great, adds to the dynamic look of the car. Then you also have that single tailpipe exhaust coming out at the center. Overall, beautiful car for what it's worth. All right guys, so I'm currently driving the Porsche Cayman. I've been driving it for quite some time. We've driven all the way from the Grand Canyon currently to San Antonio. So I've gotten the feel of the 2007 Porsche Cayman. First thing that I can tell you, this is a great little sports car. The more time I spend driving it, the more I've come to like it. So that's a great indication of a great little sports car. Behind us, you have the 2.7 naturally aspirated flat six rated to 245 horsepower and around 205 pound-feet of torque. I'll put the power figures up on the screen here. You know, in today's world, we're privileged with 1,000 horsepower Ferraris, 800 horsepower McLarens from the factory. But what I can tell you is that 245 horsepower is enough for you to realize that this is a sports car. And especially when you connect it to that 5-speed manual, it's just so rewarding to drive this car when you push it to the limits and you get it right. All right, so now let's talk about that 5-speed manual. Let me drop a gear. And we're coming up a hill right now, but push the car a little bit from 4,000 up to 5th. So the 5-speed manual, it's got really short ratios. The distance between each shift is quite short, which gives that sporty feel. The clutch pedal has perfect indication of when the clutch release point is, so that's great. The one thing I will say about the throttle response, it's not what I'm used to, because I'd say I've driven more recent produced cars like 2018 BMW, 2018 Mercedes-AMG GTC, and those things just have absolutely sensational throttle response. Now granted, you have to take into consideration that this car was produced in 2007, but it's still not something that takes away from the driving experience, right? The way I think of it is, okay, the throttle response might not be the best, so that means I have to get it perfect every single time, right? And if I get it perfect, it's just even more rewarding. All right, so now I want to talk about the steering. Unfortunately, I'm on a straightaway. We're driving through Texas, so it's pretty much only straight shots to your destination. But I have gone through some high-speed corners, and what I can tell you from driving the car at low speeds as well is that the steering is heavily weighted and it has that mechanical feel, which is what you want in a sports car. Driving at lower speeds, right, even when you're just moving the car out of the parking lot, right, you really got to crank it, put some force into the steering wheel to be able to move it, which is something I personally love because like I said, it makes it feel more mechanical. And the other thing that the steering does a great job of is feeling any adjustments or bumps or altercations in the road, and you get that sensitivity through your fingers and the vibration through your fingers, which just helps you become one with the car, feel what's going on the road, be able to make your personal adjustments that you want to make to necessarily drive faster on the track. Right now I'm on public roads, so that's not the case, but it's what a lot of people have said on forums as well, is to truly understand what the Porsche Cayman is about, you have to drive it on the track. So we'll definitely get to that some point, but this is just a road review for right now. So, you know, as we've been driving the car from San Antonio, excuse me, from the Grand Canyon to San Antonio, we really haven't pushed the car past, you know, 4,000, 5,000. But as this is a naturally aspirated engine, you get peak power at around 6,500 RPM, right? And so I just did a little downshift there to pass somebody, and I got it up to 5,000 RPM, and it just feels even quicker, right? And it goes to that point that a lot of people talk about when you're driving naturally aspirated engines, that to get the maximum performance, you have to push it to redline, right? And that's just more, you get more satisfaction out of doing that. So, you know, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna slow down a little bit here, drop a gear, and put it up into the higher rev ranges. All right, so we're at 4,000. It's picking up 5,000, and you can feel it starts to become even quicker as you get up 6,000 RPM. And that's pure driving pleasure, right? The higher you get to the RPMs, the more character, the more noise you get out of the engine, the more vibrations you feel, and the more one you become more one with the car, excuse me. But yeah, it's absolutely such a pleasure to drive 5-speed manual Porsche Cayman. And so the next thing I want to talk about, which is key to producing a great sports car, is the seating position and just the overall connectivity to the pedals, to the steering wheel, and to the seat. First thing, I want to talk about the seats. These seats, I think, are perfect. They have the perfect amount of comfort and luxury, and then they also do a great job of holding you in place when cornering. Going back to some of the other sports cars I've driven, they've had really tough, put a lot of pressure on your lower back, really stiff there. I think these seats do a great job of holding you in your lower back without putting so much pressure there. Personally, these are the best seats for long road, or for long roads that I've ever sat in for a performance vehicle. And then to the seating position, now granted, I'm 6'2", pushing 6'3". I don't think, if you're taller than that, I don't think it's gonna be the best feeling when you're driving this car, because sometimes when I'm pushing the clutch, my left knee knocks the steering wheel. I can get around that by kind of moving it to the left a little bit, and it's nothing too great that takes away from the driving experience, right? It's just something I gotta get around a little bit. But you know, if you're pushing 6'5", you're gonna have a little bit troubles with your head being too tall, and then the legs really just knocking into the steering wheel. And the other thing I'll say is that the steering wheel, it has adjustable, it's adjustable, so it has that manual lock that you can release, and then you can move the steering wheel around. I would wish that you could move the steering wheel a little bit further, because me personally, I always like to have a tight, loose grip and close to my chest. The steering wheel here, I feel like it's a little bit just too long, especially if I lean back into the seat. But then again, you know, this car was produced in 2007, and it probably wasn't produced for someone who's 6'3" either. So get some of the sensations from the steering wheel. Now that noise is amazing as well. All right, guys, I'm about to arrive back at my university. I just wanted to conclude the driving part of the review for the 2007 Porsche Cayman. Just to remind you guys, this thing is a spectacular sports car. It might not look like that when you look at the numbers on paper, but you honestly have to get inside and drive this thing, get hands-on with the vehicle to really, truly experience what it's worth. I never talked about the suspension. And I wanted to mention quickly that, you know, you don't have any adaptability like in our modern cars, where you can turn the suspension to soft, sport. But I did want to say that the suspension just felt great overall, and this car wants to be driven, you know, in that range from 70 to 90, from 60 to 80 miles an hour. It just feels great and very smooth there. But yeah, that's to conclude the driving part of the review. So I'll see you guys next time.